welcome to my YouTube channel Lost Bong Coder, where we explore the exciting world of web development and design. In today's video, we are going to learn how to create stunning animated buttons using HTML and CSS. In this video, there will be no use of JavaScript. We will be purely designing our animations using HTML and CSS. Basically, we will be unlocking the great power of CSS for the animation. These buttons are not only eye-catching but also add an interactive element to your web projects. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced developer, you will find this tutorial valuable. So, without further ado, let's dive into the world of web animation. If you find this video helpful and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video and leave a comment with your thoughts and questions. Your support motivates me to create more tutorials like this. But before we start, remember that all the codes I will be using in this tutorial will be available on my Medium blog. You can find the link in the video description below. So, let's get started. So before we start coding, let's take a quick look at what we will be creating today. We will design three types of animated buttons: zoom button, glow pulse button and jitter button. Each button will have its unique animation when hovered over. As you can see, when we are hovering over zoom button, the size of the button increases, and in our second button, and you can see the button there is a pulse type effect animation, which is a neon pulse effect animation is glowing all over the sides of the button. And our last button, which contains our last animation of this video, that is jitter animation. Basically jitter animation means it's a type of animation that produces a shaking or vibrating effect, making an element appear as if it's jittering or trembling. As you can see, when you hover over the jitter button, the button starts to tremble. So this is our final and last animation on this video. So without wasting further more time, let's dive into the coding part. Let's create our files, index.html and our CSS file style style.css. Let's add the boilerplate button animations. Okay, so let's just go live, pp with live server. Now let's set up the HTML structure for our buttons. We will use a simple HTML document with container div that holds the buttons. Let's add here a div. Let's give it a class name of container. Let's make it center container because it will be easy to understand as we are centering our container in the web page, so it will be easier to understand. Next, let's add our buttons. For styling our buttons, let's give it a class name animated button. Let's create a copy of 3. We will be using same class names for all the 3 buttons because this button, basically using this class name, we will be design the basic design of our buttons, and the basic design of all 3 buttons will be same. animations will be different, but the basic designs will be same. So for here, let's add the name zoom button. For this, glow pulse button, and for this, jitter button. Okay, now let's hop into the styling part. With our HTML in place, it's time to add the magic. As you can see, the buttons are created. So with our HTML in place, it's time to add the magic with CSS. We will style these buttons. And create animations for each button type. So let's begin the coding part of style. First of all, let's style our body part of HTML, body tag of HTML. Let's give it a display of flex, then justify content, make it center, then align items, make it center. Why it's not working? Oh, we forgot to add the style CSS. Not style. Link our CSS. Yeah, now it's working. Give it a height. We will be giving 100 VH. Remove all margin, 0 pixel, and give it a background color of hash F0 F0 F0. Okay, let's change the color a little bit. Okay, so now let's style our container. Center container, give it a display of flex. Next, add the flex direction as column, and then align items center. Okay, now we will be designing our buttons, not animation, but just designing our buttons. So dot animated, we have given buttons or button. Let's give it a padding of 15 pixel, 30 pixel. Let's give it a font size of 1.2 rem, and let's remove all the borders, none. Okay, let's give it a color of white. Okay, let's give it a border radius of 10 pixel, that sharpie edges will be removed. Next, give it a position of relative and overflow hidden, and give it a margin of 10 pixel on all sides. Okay, margin 10, let's give it 20. Yeah, I think it will be 25. Yeah, it's better. So now let's start with our animation part. We will be first coding our zoom button animation. So let's start up by creating the zoom button animation. So the basic requirements is when you hover over this button, it will smoothly scale up. Okay, let's code it. For this to achieve, we need to give each buttons a separate class which is just for them. Let's add it, give it a zoom and give it a name of glow pulse, and this one is jitter. Okay, what we have given zoom. So let's code for our zoom. Let's give it a background of #3498 dB. Okay, transform scale. Okay, transition transform 0.5 seconds. Okay, so zoom hover transform 1.1. So when we will be hovering it should be scaled by 1.1. As you can see, it's smoothly zooming, creating a scaling up effect. So two more things. Let's here add our cursor as pointer, and let's give it a transition to all 0.3 seconds. It will be better, it will give a more smoothing effect. As you can see, when we are hovering, the cursor changes to a pointer. So this is our zoom button in action. So it's done. Our zoom coding of our zoom button is done. Now we will tackle the glow pulse button. This one creates a beautiful pulsating glow effect when hovered, and the pulsating glow effect will be of neon type. So let's code this. What we have given the name glow pulse dot glow pulse. Let's give it a background #FFF 6b. Let's add animation. Give our animation an identifier which I will be defining in the next line. Let's give it a name glow pulse, and the duration is 1.5 and it's infinite. Okay, now let's define this glow pulse animation using keyframes, and our identifier is glow pulse. So for 0%, box shadow will be 0, 0, 10 pixel, 5 pixel, RGBA. Let's give it 255. 107 0.7 for 100%. Box shadow 20 pixel 10 pixel RG the above value. Okay, as you can see, our animation is in effect. It's now active. The animation is working properly. The pulse effect of neon type light and neon glow is continuously happening. So our second animation is also complete. And now, last but not least, we have the jitter button. This animation gives the button a playful jittering effect when we hover over it. So let's code our last animation. What is the class name we have given? Jitter. Let's give it a background #2980b9. Okay, now our effect will be come into action when we hover over it. So let's use the hover pseudo element and define our animation here. Let's give it a identifier jitter. Let's give it a duration 0.1 seconds. Make it infinite, alternate and linear. Okay, now let's define that identifier using keyframes. So what is that identifier name? Jitter. Now let's define the animation for 0%. Transform translate x 0. For 100%, transform translate x 5 pixel. Okay, so let's see our jitter button is also in effect. It's working fine. As you can see, the jitter button is also working fine. So all our three buttons, animations of our all three buttons is working fine. So that's all. So we have just learned how to create three fantastic animated buttons with HTML and CSS without any single code of JavaScript. These buttons can be a great addition to your web projects, adding that extra bit of interactivity and style. Now it's your turn to get creative and experiment with defined button animations and designs. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing to Lost Bug Coder for more web development content. Don't forget to like the video and leave a comment with your thoughts and questions. Your feedback is highly appreciated. And last of all, before we go, remember that you can access all these codes used in this tutorial on my Medium blog. Just check the video description below for the link. Thank you for joining us today at Lost Bug Coder, and we will see you in the next video with some more amazing button effects and animations. Have a good day. Thank you.